What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. So currently with the sentiment among investors extremely low, I wanted to go over one thing that can change that. So I want to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So like I said, I know in reality, Marc is wanting to, in his head, transition away from retail, which is very emotional. At the time of doing this video, or I guess the last 13F, you do have retail still owning a massive chunk of Lucid. So as of Q2, there was 738.49 million shares held by retail, 2.29 billion from institutions, but of course the PIF is a massive chunk of that. Strategic entities at 45.96 million. So retail has a good chunk of it. Of course, not the majority, but you guys get what I'm saying. Technically on social media, it is retail investors primarily, I guess, complaining or either pushing Lucid based on what comes out. So I think there's one thing that Marc can do, and it has to be Marc. It can't be any other executive. There's a lot of other stocks that I do cover on various YouTube channels, and one extremely positive sentiment booster is purchasing. So if we kind of just pull this up, so this is SoFi. So for those of you that aren't familiar with SoFi, their CEO is on point. These are all the transaction code P, so meaning using his own money. So it wasn't just awarded and given to him. These are all the transactions that he used his own money and purchased stock with. So typically, in the past, like 2023, 2024, SoFi's stock was heavily manipulated and arguably still is. But nonetheless, every time he purchased the stock, even if it was only like, let's say 50,000, 100,000 and so forth. So you can kind of pause and go through all the amounts right here, but it caused the stock price to go up like 5% at least. Because of course, let's say the stock is just completely tanking. If you see the CEO, or in Lucid's case, interim CEO, purchase stock, well, hell, that means it's a good deal. That means they see value in it. And this is one of my biggest issues with Lucid way back in 2021. Not only do they give their executives way too much money, and one thing that I kind of complained about, even like I think it was mid last year, there was Eric Bach and Peter, and I believe one other individual. They each got 1 million shares for the Gravity, and look how well that so far turned out. But if we pop over here, this is Lucid. This is exactly what I'm talking about. A bunch of transaction code A, meaning that they were awarded stock. So you have that, you have them selling for tax purposes, awarded, you have transaction code P, but that is because of the PIF. They legitimately pretty much are the only ones that actually buy Lucid. And it's really, really unfortunate. So at the end of the day, even going back to good old Peter Rawlinson times, you don't see any transactions worthwhile to actually say, hey, Peter, or now Marc, sees value in this. Because even if, let's say Marc, I'm not saying he has to be rich or throw millions and millions of dollars of his own money in Lucid stock, but even if he puts $50,000, $100,000, it shows that they see value in it. And one thing, and kind of indirect way to think about all this, you, I, everyone who's ever bought one share of Lucid has actually used more of their own money than the CEO. Think about that for a second. That is the stupidest thing on earth. The fact that Lucid expects retail just to kind of go away, institutions to come in, but they're not actually even putting any money where their mouth is just absolutely mind-blowing. So, in my opinion, if Marc does actually buy some stock, or potentially even just any executive, I guess, that would be seen as, hey, they see value at the $2 price or whatever else, if they buy it at $1.80 or something. So at the end of the day, I feel like there is an opportunity to really change this sentiment around, and thus possibly getting even some of this retail huge amount to possibly even buy more, which of course would cause buying pressure. And that's just one thing that I've frequently brought up, is that shorts take advantage of the whole scenario of Lucid. Like, Lucid, in my opinion, is its own worst enemy, especially with marketing, PR. Like, they don't do that good of a job. They have a very, very brilliant product, but aside from that, everything else just is in shambles. Shorts are just sitting back and like, hey, self-destruct, do all that you want. But when Lucid actually does go up, we've seen that happen very few times, but when Lucid actually does go up, like, it's because of institutions buying, and not just that, retail as well. But you guys get what I'm saying, an overwhelming amount of buying. So for instance, if Marc or someone else buys, you're going to see a lot of FOMO, because yeah, honestly, even myself, if Lucid was at $3, $4, $5, and you saw the CEO buying, I'd be like, hey, maybe right now I should actually follow suit and buy. So in my opinion, long explanation, but I do feel that Lucid has a unique circumstance that they can really change this around very fast, and doing it right before the reverse stock split might be in their best interest as well. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Do you think, would you buy more if you saw Marc? And I think, even on a side note, they really need to get a permanent CEO, not interim CEO. Like, the whole CFO role, they had that interim for about a year and a half. That's just way too long. That should not be happening at all under the CEO role. So I think they need to really solidify that. But nonetheless, if you saw Marc buying, let's say $100,000, $200,000 using his own money, would you buy more? What's your kind of viewpoint on that? Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point, especially the last several weeks. All the day trades, which I do put out every single day, have been on point, so worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.